You have been told that you were in a toxic relationship, an inadequate and insulting diagnosis. A common cold is toxic. You are not ill with a common ailment. You are the subject of a targeted, sustained, and deliberate war on the very fabric of your reality. You believe you are here to understand a series of betrayals, of lies, of cruelties. You are mistaken. Those were merely the battles. The war itself was for a far greater prize. Your perception, the entity you encountered, the narcissist, is not merely a liar or a cheat. They are a failed sorcerer, a dark magician whose only true power is the ability to convince you that their madness is your own. To comprehend the depth of this dark art, we require a guide who is not afraid to descend into the psychic underworld. We require the Swiss master, Carl Jung, for he understood that the greatest monsters are not those that live in the shadows of the world, but those that live unacknowledged in the shadows of the mind. You have spent years trying to understand her actions, a fool's errand. You cannot understand the creature by studying its behavior alone. You must understand the contaminated soil from which it grew. You must understand its psychological anatomy. Today, we will conduct that vivisection. This will not be brief. It will not be simple. The poison was administered over 7 years. The full extraction and analysis of its properties will require our undivided attention. Do not look away. Jung gave us the concept of the shadow. It is the part of ourselves we refuse to see. It is everything we find unacceptable. Our rage, our greed, our deceitfulness, our cruelty. A healthy individual acknowledges their shadow. They may not act upon it, but they do not deny its existence. They integrate it. The narcissist does not. The narcissist is a creature who has utterly failed at this integration. They are so terrified of their own darkness, so repulsed by their own inadequacy and malice, that they perform a desperate act of psychological surgery. They amputate their shadow. They cast it out. They declare themselves to be a creature of pure light, of pure victimhood, of pure misunderstood goodness. But the shadow does not vanish. By an amputated limb still throbs with phantom pain. An exiled shadow grows stronger, more monstrous in the darkness. It becomes a ravenous, separate entity. It needs a host. And that, you unfortunate soul, is where you came in. The narcissist cannot bear to own their own deceit, their own capacity for cruelty, their own bottomless insecurity. So, they must find a canvas upon which to paint it. They seek a person of integrity, of empathy, of strength, because only a strong canvas can hold the sheer volume of their projected filth without immediately disintegrating. When she called you paranoid, it was because her own life was a paranoid tapestry of lies and secret communications that she had to constantly manage. She was the one living in perpetual fear of discovery, so she projected that paranoia onto you. She accused you of the very thing you were correctly suspecting her of, a masterful, demonic inversion. When she called you crazy, she was projecting the deep internal chaos and dissonance of her own fractured psyche. She lived a double life, a triple life, a life of such profound contradiction that madness was its only logical state. To maintain her own sanity, she had to make you the vessel for her insanity. When she accused you of being controlling, it was the desperate cry of a master puppeteer who was beginning to feel the strings slip. Her entire world was built upon a fragile framework of control of your emotions, control of the narrative, control of the secrets she kept from you, and the secrets she kept from her other partners. Your simple, reasonable requests for honesty were a threat to her absolute control. So she projected her nature onto you. This is the fundamental nature of the shadow predator. It is a hollow thing that stalks the world, seeking a host to carry the darkness it refuses to claim. You spent 7 years not with a person, but as the unwilling host for the ghost of her amputated soul. You were her living, breathing shadow, and you wondered why you felt so heavy, so dark, so haunted. Now we must examine the mechanism, the precise alchemical formula for this transference of darkness. Jung called it projection. It is the most powerful and insidious weapon in the narcissist's grimoire. Projection is an unconscious act of self-defense. The narcissist's ego is so fragile, so pathologically weak, that it cannot survive the knowledge of its own corruption. To admit I am a liar or I am a cheat would cause the entire structure to collapse. So the psyche, in a desperate act of preservation, flings that unacceptable truth outward. It screams, he is the liar, he is the cheat. You are not merely accused of these things. You were made to feel them. You were living in a sealed room where the narcissist was constantly emitting a colorless, odorless poison gas of their own self-hatred. And you were the one who got sick. Consider the sheer psychological weight you were forced to carry. You were carrying the emotional burden of your own life, your own work, your own integrity. And, on top of that, you were forced to carry the dead weight of her unlived shadow. You were carrying her lies, her betrayals, her paranoia, her financial irresponsibility, her profound lack of empathy. You were carrying the emotional weight of 2 people, but were only ever allowed to acknowledge the existence of one. This is why you felt you were going mad. It is an impossible and unsustainable psychic load. This leads us to one of their most masterful tactics, often called reactive abuse. The formula is simple, yet devastatingly effective. First, they project their shadow onto you. They treat you subtly or overtly, as if you are angry, unstable, or untrustworthy. Second, this constant, unjust treatment naturally provokes a reaction. After weeks, months, years of being gaslit, belittled, and betrayed, any sane person would eventually crack. You raise your voice. You send the angry email. You slam the door. You finally, explosively react. Third, and this is the masterstroke, they point to your reaction as proof that their original projection was true all along. See, they say with a calm, feigned victimhood, see how angry you are. See how unstable you are. This is what I have had to deal with. They are the arsonist who sets your house on fire and then calmly condemns you for screaming while you burn. They engineered your reaction. They farmed it. They harvested it. and then they used it as a weapon against you, not just to your face, but to their family, their friends, their flying monkeys. The smear campaign had been written long before you ever sent that nasty email. Your reaction was merely the final illustration they needed for a book they had already completed. This is the dark alchemy of projection. They take their leaden, worthless shame and, through a complex process of psychological abuse, attempt to transmute it into your golden, heavy guilt. They wash their hands in the waters of your sanity. So, you have survived. You have escaped the crucible, but you are burned. You are scarred, and you are still carrying the phantom weight of their shadow. How do you put it down? How do you become whole again? Jung's term for this process is individuation. It is the journey of becoming a complete, integrated individual. For a survivor of this kind of war, it is a specific and arduous quest. The first step is not forgiveness. Forgiveness is a luxury, and in some cases, a fool's errand. The first step is reclamation. You must consciously and deliberately take back every projection she ever flung at you. You must sit down with a ledger of your memory and perform a brutal audit. The paranoia she accused you of, reclaim it. Recognize that it was her paranoia about being discovered, which she forced you to feel. Return it to its rightful owner. The instability, reclaim it. It was your nervous system's sane reaction to an insane situation. It was a symptom of her poison, not your pathology. The cruelty you showed in your final, angry reaction. You must reclaim that as well. This is the most difficult part of the journey. Jung taught that individuation requires integrating our own shadow. In the aftermath of this abuse, your shadow has been fed and nurtured by her poison. It is filled with a righteous rage, a desire for retribution. You must not deny this part of yourself. You must not pretend to be the same naive, unconditionally trusting person you were before. That person is dead. He died in the fire. To deny the rage, to deny the scars, is to fall into the same trap she did, the trap of amputating the parts of yourself you find uncomfortable. You must integrate this new, harder, more dangerous part of yourself. This is the alchemy of your survival. You take the rage she created, and you transmute it. You do not turn it outward as a weapon of petty revenge. You turn it inward as the fire for your own forge. This rage becomes your new, unbreakable boundary. It is the sentinel that stands at the gate of your soul and says, never again. This newfound suspicion becomes your discernment. It is the tool that allows you to analyze people's character, not just their words. The memory of her betrayal becomes your wisdom. It is the grimoire you now possess, which allows you to recognize these common curses instantly. Individuation, for the survivor, is the process of becoming a conscious and whole individual who has successfully integrated the trauma and the wisdom it imparted. You do not return to the person you were before. That is impossible. You become someone new, someone stronger, someone who is no longer a viable host for a shadow predator. You become so whole, so integrated, so aware of your own light and your own darkness. that there are no longer any cracks in your psyche for their projections to take root. The war was for your perception of reality. For 7 years, she held the territory. She was the queen of a kingdom built on your confusion. But the war is over, and you have won. You did not win by defeating her. You cannot defeat a ghost. You won by rebuilding your own reality on a foundation so solid that her illusions can no longer penetrate it. The final irony is this. In her desperate attempt to make you the vessel for her shadow, she forced you to undertake the most profound journey of self-discovery a human can endure. She forced you to confront your own capacity for pain, for rage, for survival. She forced you into the alchemical fire of individuation. She intended to destroy you, but instead, she inadvertently forged you into the very thing she can never be, a whole and conscious human being. Her fate is to wander the world forever, a hollow thing, desperately seeking new hosts to carry the darkness she will never face. She will repeat her script, her pathetic little series of curses, until the day she dissolves into the nothingness from which she came. Your fate is different. You have walked through the underworld and returned. You now carry the map. You know the names of the demons. You understand the formula for their poison. The great work of your soul's alchemy is now complete. You are no longer her shadow. You are no longer the canvas for her projections. You are the potion master. You are the alchemist. You are the architect of your own unbreachable reality. The lesson is over.